Hello, hello. I am Prathima, and I'm so glad you're here. We are doing a live Instagram audit today. So I'm just going to wait and check if my audio is okay because a few weeks ago it was not. So I'm going to actually go on my own YouTube on my phone. Yes, it's working. Okay, so we're good. All right, so let's get started. I'm so glad you're here and excited to talk about this. We're doing an Instagram content makeover. Jamar is in the house. Woohoo. Every time he's here, he gets me like excited because he's such a big supporter of me and doing these YouTube challenges and live. So thank you, Jamar, for being here. I love you always. Okay, enough love for Jamar. I need some more people in here so I can give some love to. All right. So today, again, we're doing an Instagram content makeover. I'm going to be sharing Instagram tips for businesses and how to grow on Instagram with a strong profile and a strong content strategy. Okay. So let me share my screen just so I can. Which one is it? Yeah. Yes, Jamar, you're giving me all the good vibes. Okay. So what do I look for when I audit? So here are some of the top things, right? This is what I do when I look at an Instagram account. I'm looking at how you can optimize your profile, right? There are many parts to the profile, so I'm going to be talking about that. I'm going to be looking at how you can optimize your content strategy. So I'm going to take a very high level look at someone's content and see if I can kind of determine what they're doing, right? And that's their strategy. And then I can kind of give some tips on that. I'm also going to look at like how engagement is going for their content. I'm going to see if maybe there's some tactics that we can use that can help improve engagement and things like that. And then I'm going to look at whatever analytics are available to me. So again, like the vanity metrics and also like looking at maybe the views of the reels, things like that. But honestly, if I were to do a full Instagram audit, I would get access to your analytics and then I can look at more stuff. But we're going to do what we can for this training where I'm not actually diving into like deep analytics, but I may save that for another training. So what I recommend is actually doing a self-audit every 3 to 6 months. But I don't recommend, you don't need to do it every 3 months, honestly, unless you have like quarterly campaigns, right? Where you're pushing out something new, a new product, a new program, things like that. But you can probably wait about six to 9 months, I would say. I wouldn't wait a year, things like that, because there are a lot of places where we can actually optimize and clean up regularly, and it'll help make sure that we are keeping it nice and fresh and clean. So if you don't know me, I am Prathima. I'm a social media strategist who specializes in helping business owners like you liberate yourself from social media burnout, because I know that sometimes content creation for social media and just keeping up with social media and changes can be hard and very time consuming. So I want to help you build more sustainable practices for social media so that you can get back to business and really just building it and growing it. So I've got you on that front. And then here's some of my people who I've worked with. I've worked with like a Spanish educator and coach who I'm actually going to audit today. And then I've worked with a therapist. I've worked with a dentist. I've worked with actually over 12 different industries. I've worked in and helped clients in over 12 different industries. So I have kind of experience with seeing how different industries use social media and how we can leverage it for each one. So during this training, I would love if you would screenshot and share anything that you learn and you found valuable. And if you tag me, I can reshare it to my stories on Instagram. And I know there's someone else here. There's like, it says 2 people are here. Jamar is here. I know there's one more person. So say hello, say where you're from, and that'll be fun. And if you stay till the end, you can also, if you comment in the chat, you can win a free Instagram audit from me where we're actually dive deeper into your analytics as well. And we can take a look at how we can improve it. Or you can choose to get 50% off your first month in my social media membership for small business owners. Cool? All right. So the first thing I want to say is your Instagram is basically your storefront, right? Your social media profiles in any platform is basically your storefront. So we want to regularly keep it clean, shiny, and showcase our best stuff, right? I mean, imagine like when you're window shopping, if it's like dirty windows, if it's like, mannequins falling here and there, and you're putting up like, let's say you're going clothes shopping and you see the clothes on the floor or something that's outdated and not trending right now, then people might just walk by, right? So that same vibe and that same like thought and perspective you should apply to your Instagram account too. So we want to make sure it is spick and span and ready to go. So today we're going to audit Sandy's account. Spanish with Sandy is her account name and handle. So if you want to go check her out, she is an amazing Spanish tutor and student of mine actually in Chai Social Club, which is my membership. She gets support with her social media marketing every week and monthly with me. And she's also a mom, but she's basically helping bilingual families learn Spanish with ease. So that's what she does. And she's actually going to be promoting a workshop that's happening at the end of this month. And very Halloween centered and fun. And she's opening her doors to her membership. So based on that, let's go see if her account is set up for promoting those things. Cool? Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing this and we're going to go to her account. Let's see. I'm going to share her account. All right. Okay, so here it is. I'm going to see, can I move my picture? Okay, I probably can't. Okay, so right off the bat, what I check for in terms of optimizing your profile, right? We're looking at our social, our handle, our bio, our name, like everything down here is what I call like optimizing your profile, right? And then we can get to the content strategy after that. But I love that her handle, it's easy to remember. It has the keyword Spanish actually. And she even uses that in her name field. So your name field, I believe it takes 30 characters. And you want to make sure that you optimize this by including keywords and phrases that people use naturally to search for someone like you. So I'm going to do an example of like, let's say I was searching for a Spanish tutor, right? For myself or even my kids, Spanish tutor for kids. Let's see what comes up. Okay, so she doesn't tutor right now. Her account and her membership is not for kids per se. Those are her one-on-one classes, but her membership is for parents, right? So when I just put Spanish tutor, you can see that she shows up over here on the search bar, right? So that's very good because that's what she wants to show up for. And then if I put Spanish coach, again, she shows up, which is good, right? Spanish language. So anything where people are looking for those keywords, she shows up, which is showing you that this is helping the fact that she has that in there. So make sure you have keywords in the name field. And again, you have up to 30 characters. So research that and see what you can put in there that can help you with that search, right? And so now looking at her next is her bio. So here what we want to do is make sure that we are very clear on who we help, right? And the benefit that we give to people who end up following us. Like, what are people following us for, right? So this is very clear. She's a virtual Spanish tutor and coach. So she doesn't do in-person stuff. She does virtual things, right? Like virtual offers and programs. And then she gives her credibility. So she has a master's in education, which is great because then, you have more trust in her, right? And then I love this help statement because it says who, again, she helps. She helps those bilingual families, right? And she wants to make it super easy and easy to learn Spanish in those families. So this is great, super simple, very nice. And this is my favorite in the bio. The last part, you can always think of it as like your call to action, or how are you going to give people a taste of what you offer, right? That could be the last line in your bio. And so, like I said earlier, she's promoting a workshop at the end of this month. And that since that is the next thing that's happening for her and that's what she's campaigning for, that should be highlighted right there, which it is, which is awesome. So if you have a program, if you have a new product coming, you can tease people in that last line of your bio and get people excited about something that you're offering, right? So this is great. Now let's see if her links are actually pointing to the right thing, because it looks like, her arrows over here are saying, pointing to this link, and let's see what she has in there. Okay. So Instagram allows you to put 5 links using their native link, add link feature. And so she has 3, which is great, not like 10 or 15 or 20. So what I notice in a lot of accounts is that there are tons of links and then people get lost in where to go, right? So think of Instagram as a place where you can take someone just to the entry point of your offers. You don't want to give them the whole shebang of everything that you offer, like every product that you have or every service that you offer. Again, think of what are you promoting within the next month or two. Make that your top thing, top link. So she has that, right? Her free coaching week. And then she has her membership waitlist link. And then she has her podcast. So I know that her podcast is one of her biggest drivers for growing her email list and things like that. So she has that at the end for now. But what I would recommend is, like, after the campaigning for her program and entry into her membership, she can put that at the top, because that's where she wants to bring in people into her world, right? She uses her podcast. She has a great podcast, by the way. So that's the only thing. And also, she says free 3-day workshop, but then here she says free 3-day coaching week. So because those words are different, I may think it's same because she says 3-day, but I would keep the name exactly the same so you don't throw people off again, wondering whether it's something different or whatever. So make sure it's consistent. So I would change that, Sandy. And so let's just make sure these links go where they're supposed to. That's another thing. Sometimes I see dead links when I go, and then, it's going to someplace else where it shouldn't be going. And so, okay, this is good. So it goes to her workshop and people can register. That's awesome. And just, again, I check all the links and just make sure that it's going to where it's supposed to go. Okay, this is good. And then I think this goes to our podcast. Woohoo! I think you're good there, Spanish with Sandy. Sandy's awesome. I don't know if she's here, but anyway, she said she could try to make it. But looks like her bio is crisp and clean that way. So I'm so happy for her. Okay, now next part. So as people scroll, so imagine people finding you now from a reel or a post, right? People are going to come here and check out your profile. They may glimpse at this. They may even click on your links. But then next is this part, right? Your story highlights. So this is another place where you can leverage to give glimpses of different things that are, that could be valuable to your new viewers, right? You could show your testimonials, your customer testimonials. You could highlight just about you, like anything about your brand, or if you want people to learn about you, things like that. So she actually has quite a lot. And I know she told me she has to take time to clean this up. So that's what I would do, is just make sure these are not overwhelming. Again, you don't want to get people lost in these various places, right? You don't want to go in here and see 10 different links and people get lost and then end up scrolling away from your profile. You don't want people to go clicking all over the place over here and again get lost and then forget and then just get out of here, right? Like, you want people to stay on your account. Instagram wants people to stay on Instagram. So you don't want to take people too far out of the Instagram world and your feed, because you want them to keep binging things more about you so they can be like, this person is exactly who I need. I'm going to click that follow button, right? So story highlights, I don't know how much people actually use this, honestly. I don't look at everybody's story highlights, to be honest. I don't know if you do. You can comment if you do. Jamar, do you look at people's story highlights? But what I'm trying to say here is don't overthink it. Maybe just 3 or 4 things about you, about like maybe testimonials. Like think your navigation on your website. What are those common things that you have there? You can put like 3 or 4 things, right? That's it. Like, and the thing is, you can only choose stories that you've created and then add them to these highlights because these are story highlights. So let's move on to the next part, which is the main thing, your feed, right? So this is where I take a look at like how your content strategy is. Can I easily tell that Sandy says she's helping bilingual families use Spanish with ease? Okay, so keeping that in mind, I want to see if she's helping me do that with her content, right? That's what we're looking for here. Yeah, Jamar said, no, I don't look at them anymore. Yep, exactly. So we don't necessarily always look at these story highlights, but we look at the feed, right? So I want to point out she's pinned 3 posts over here, right? So Instagram allows you to pin 3 posts at the top of your feed. And what that does is it just makes it sticky. So meaning even if you add a new post, these 3 will always remain at the top. So this is a great place, again, to think about what you can pin, right? You don't always want to pin your most viral content if it has nothing to do with your business. Just because you got virality, it doesn't always equate to this is valuable for your audience or, it helped you sell a lot or anything, right? So don't think of, okay, let me just pin my viral content. Think of things like maybe your top selling product or services and information about that stuff, right? Or testimonials. Again, I think results, transformations, testimonials are a great place right here to showcase that. That way people can always see that you're actually helping people. And, they're like, they can start seeing themselves in that person's shoes, right? And another thing I love is introducing your brand, right? Meet Sandy, I'm Sandy, let's be friends. So she has 2 introduction posts here. So maybe she can get rid of one and just choose which one is the most helpful. This is fun, right? It shows her personality and a little bit more about her. And then she explains it a little bit more in the caption. So I love this. And then the other one, again, this is a little bit different, but it shows a little bit like behind the scenes of her and what she does and how she teaches, right? And again, a little bit more about her. So maybe she can choose one of these and then replace one with something else. Let's take a look at this. Here are 3 more ways I can help you. Okay, so her podcast, she mentioned her free guide, and then her membership, right? Okay, cool. So this is where she highlighted the 3 ways or 3 offers that she has in which she can help you. So I love that too. Now, maybe another post could be an inside look at her membership right now, because she is going to be promoting that at the end of this month. Or she could show a little bit a peek into her workshop if she's done this before, right? So that people, again, can feel like they have a little bit of information before they jump into something that she's offering, right? So again, these are like your window items that you have in your storefront. This is like the mannequins showing like the hot item of the month or the new trend of the month, things like that, right? So that's super important. So think of your pin posts again as the highlights to your content and what you provide, and also your offers. So, okay. So now another thing I look for when I look at the feed is like, am I easily drawn to it by its cohesiveness? When I say cohesiveness, I'm not talking about like, it looking perfectly beautiful or anything like that, and like perfect fonts and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, can I look at one piece of content and say what it's about? Can I be drawn by the colors because they're consistent and things like that? Those are important things because visuals on Instagram matter compared to like Threads or X, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. Visuals don't always matter, right? but in Instagram, they do to an extent where you are able to guide people to look at your content. That's all. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be like super aesthetic where you're matching grids and like all these boxes, but it should help me dive deeper in, right? Without getting lost. That's what I'm trying to say. You can see me repeating this again and again because that's what happens, unfortunately, is that people can get lost in your feed. They're like, I don't know where to look. Like, I don't know what this is about. Like, like when I just see a face, it's a beautiful face, but like, what is she going to talk about in that reel? Like, I want to know before I actually click it, things like that. So that's what I look for. And mostly, Sandy, your feed is super cohesive and the colors are great, attractive, and gives the vibe and personality that you have. So I love it. Like using these kind of icons and stuff, it's fun, right? And mostly like your covers too, I can see what they're about. Like, do you need simple Spanish phrases to teach your kids patience? Like, hey, like if that's something I want to go into, then I know what this content is about, right? Things like that. And she uses like the fonts. They also are very easy to read right now. This is a little bit like, I would check on this, like the contrast. It's a little bit hard, but again, these are simple things you can fix, right? But overall, I think cohesiveness is fine. It's totally fine. Okay, and if you have any questions, by the way, while I'm doing this, put it in the chat because again, you get a chance to win a free audit from me or 50% off the membership if you comment or do anything in the chat. Okay, let's move on. So during the content strategy check, like I'm looking at, does she have like certain topics that she talks about, right? Can I kind of pick out like what her goal is or focus is? And is it something I can keep relying on her for? So she actually uses these things. She uses phrases. She talks a lot about Spanish phrases that are easy to use. And she teaches that in her podcast and also her content. And I can see she does that. In fact, if I keep going, like she'll use reels and she'll also use like carousels to do it, which is awesome. She's repurposing. I love that. I'm such a big repurposing fan. Like if I don't mention that, or if you haven't seen my previous trainings, I talk about repurposing, where you can do like different types of formats of content for Instagram, and you can use the same stuff again, which she did over here. Okay, so here she talks about her free coaching week. Okay. And then let's see some of her talking reels. I know she has some. So she has a lot of B-roll, right? Okay, so this one isn't talking. This one is a visual. Okay, so here's some of her talking reels.
A sweet way to speak to your little ones. Here's how. Amorcito, amorcita, chiquitita, chiquitito, cariñito, cariñita. Episode 51 of my podcast is full of all of these phrases of love, affection, and sweet ways to speak to your little ones.
Okay, so those are her talking reels. I've gone through a few of these, but it looks like she has a lot of talking reels where she talks about phrases. And so what I'd like to see, because a lot of people, when I audit Instagram accounts, I notice that their educational content, which I consider this educational, what they do is they stay a little bit at the surface level. So like they answer FAQs. So, they're very like Googleable things, but she's giving, of course, her own like take on it. But Sandy, I would like to see you go deeper in some of your talking reels and I think you do a few of these. So let's see.
When you make mistakes, when you're trying to speak Spanish to your child, you're communicating. Mistakes are okay. Keep making them, keep trying, get better, share that wisdom with your child. You want to know?
Okay. So more like that, right? Like where you are encouraging, where you're talking about maybe your processes, like how you teach, strategies you used with your kids to help, teach them Spanish, things like that, because you're a mom of two. So seeing how you do things with your kids and explaining those kinds of strategies and processes are another way to think about education, right? Education doesn't have to stay at that surface level. It can be about giving your own perspective, your experiences, and your like your shift in the way you do things, because that's what people are looking for, a new way to do things, right? They can Google all this stuff too, but how do you make it different? How do you teach differently? How does your membership help support their journey? How does your workshop help support their journey? So these are the kinds of educational content which I would like to see more deeper, like go into depth. And it doesn't have to be like long. They just have to give like one strategy, one approach, one process that you use. Cool. But otherwise your phrase reels and phrases like your carousels, they do really well, and I've seen them already. So I just wanted to point that out. So for those who don't who do educational kind of content, just remember that sometimes we don't want to stay at that surface level, that friend zone, because then people aren't going to necessarily like gain that trust and think, oh, is this person really right for me? Because there's so many other people doing what we're doing, right? So we want to share our stories and our experiences versus just staying at that surface level. So that's what I call the expertise content in my world. When I talk about like content pillars, is sharing your expertise in that way. Okay, so let's take a look at now like the variety of content that you do, right? So I love the B-rolls. I've already seen that. Let's see. So these are what I call B-rolls. If you aren't familiar with those who are on, B-rolls are basically like, you know, when you have a video or a picture in the background, and then you have some like text or some message or the way you're communicating, and it's promoting, or it's, you know, asking a question, it's answering a question your clients and customers have. So she is doing really well in terms of the B-roll. See, like she did that. This is a B-roll, right? And she could easily do use the same video and put something else on it too, which would be fun. So you have a lot of that. And then you have this as well, which is great. So you have a variety of pieces of content where you educate, engage, and, you know, teach as well. So I love that, because sometimes what I see also is that we have overload of just B-roll, overload of like just educational, like deep content, right? So you have to remember that people coming into your Instagram world are going through a journey. When they come in and they find you from a viral reel or something that was recommended to them, they need like the high level content sometimes, right? They're not ready to go deep yet. But then once they follow you, they want to go a little bit deeper. They want to keep moving along and getting better at what they're doing. So you have a mix of that, which is awesome. Okay. Let's see, what else can I say? And those are like value-based posts, right? So let's look at easy Spanish sentences for summer day.
Really easy sentences that you can tell your child about their day. So if they played really well with someone, you could say, tú jugaste tan amigable. O tú jugaste muy amigable. Celebrate how they played, celebrate that they played friendly and that they were great. If you have multiple children, twins, siblings, maybe you're talking to a group of cousins or friends, you can say this. Ustedes jugaron muy amigables. Couple of words changed there. Ustedes jugaron amigables. All of these nuances we practice in my membership, My Spanish Elective. Go to SpanishWithSandy.com/MySpanishElective, add your name and email there, and you'll get an invite soon when it opens.
Okay, so what I liked about that, she mentioned her membership. So Sandy, you could use that now for like your launch, right? So repurpose that piece of content. And I know you use summer day, so maybe you can use part of that too. And just say like, this is what I did, you know, in the summer, and I taught, you know, my students this, and then, but membership opens, right? Like, so you can reuse like parts of your content or refresh it with the same idea and same concept. So yeah, I think you are doing great in terms of your content strategy, but in terms of like the educational content, if you can give a little bit more deeper into like how you teach and showcase that, I think that will help a lot, especially during your launch. Okay. All right. So again, I love all your graphic posts and your mix. So I'm not even going to say anything more on that. So let's see if we can see how consistent Sandy has been on her account. Okay. Because that's another thing I just want to know. I'm like, okay, how often does this woman post? Okay. So one day ago, same 1 day ago. Oh, dang. Okay. So she posted like about 2, it's 3 this week. Okay. 7 days ago, September 25th. September 25th. When was that? Oh, yeah, that was just like a week ago. Okay. So it looks like she's about 3 to 4 times a week. Okay, that's awesome. And if you think you have to post every day, you don't need to. Just want to put that out there and smash that myth. You don't have to post every day. But if you can decide on a frequency, because I get this question a lot, how often should I post? On a frequency that can help you stay consistent, that's enough for now. Meaning, if you're like, I can commit to 2 days a week posting from now until like end of November, stick to it and decide and go for it. And then if you can post an extra one here and there, great. But don't start like too strong and then say, oh yeah, I can do every day, and then just get lost again, right? Because I think that will throw you off more than like other people. Sometimes, I mean, people have so many things and they're following so many accounts, so they're not going to pay attention too much. But your followers who do like rely on you and like are deeper into your in building that connection with you, they're going to know like these things, and they're going to check up on you, right? Like they're gonna be like, hey Sandy, where you been? So far it looks like you've been pretty consistent. And when you're doing a launch, what I recommend is that if you can up your push on posts, maybe like during that week when you're opening doors to your membership, you can do 2 posts a day and you can mix it up. And this is what I recommend, is that you, again, repurpose past content, reuse past content, refresh past ideas so that you can actually save time. You don't have to create new content for every launch, every campaign. Some industries, yes, you do, of course, if you have new products, things like that, but you can use the same ideas and concepts on Instagram. And so if you want to know more about like how I repurpose and things like that, I have another video, which I can link in the description, and related video that you can watch. But I highly recommend that when you are doing a launch or opening doors to a program, that you up your count of posts at least by 50%. So if you're posting once a day, try 2 times a day. And you'll notice that it will really help you. And they don't have to be all promotional posts, meaning they don't just have to be a post that says, join now, 50% off, doors are closing, things like that. They can really be everything that you've been posting. If your content strategy is like been consistent and up to par, and you have evergreen content, meaning timeless content that you can use again, you can use those same posts during your launch week, and you can just change the caption to say, doors are open, come join my membership, and you can get this, these phrases and weekly support calls to help you, speak Spanish at home easily with your kids, right? And get that confidence, right? So you see what I'm doing here is like, I'm just telling you to make sure you refresh, reuse, and repurpose your content. I'll keep saying that. Okay, so let's look at your engagement on your posts, okay? Okay, so there haven't been any comments and things like that, but let's see. On this latest one, I wish Sandy was here and she can kind of like tell me, does she get DMs and stuff, but I don't know. Okay, so. Okay, so you see how she mentioned episode 55 on Spotify? So I don't know what the name of her podcast is. So I would mention that here so people can easily search. So you can mention that in the last slide and also mention it in the caption. It's like it's never too much, I feel, to make sure the call to action is very clear. Again, you don't want people to get off of Instagram and forget about you. You want to lead people to the right places. So just check on that. And then, you know, I don't know if you use ManyChat, but like ManyChat is an option where you can say, DM me 55 and I'll send you the link to my episode 55, right? Like things like that. Or sorry, comment 55 and then I'll share the episode link in your DMs. Okay, so I can't see like other things like the like counts and things like that, but I can take a look at Reels. Let's see the views. Okay, so right now it looks like your average views are about in the 300s, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so this Reel, let's see the one that did really well in this last week. So it was this one. Yeah, even I commented because I'm like, ooh, that makes so much sense because I've used it mistakenly too. Okay, so you explain. Okay, so this is a great visual, I think, and that's what did really well. So you could think about, you know, how can I replicate this kind of reel? And maybe think about why did this do well, right? So if you can replicate this and keep that consistent, maybe try a few more times, like something like this out, and see if that is like how people like it, then you can continue that down the road, right? We want to do what works and keeps working. But of course, we can't tell with one reel because I know you haven't done this before. So try this same concept of more like visuals and explaining like the differences in words and see how that goes, right? Okay, so that did really well. Let's see another one. Ooh, 23,000. Let's see.
But no. Tempting. But no. Tempting. But
So I'm going to look. Okay, so there are quite a few comments. Okay, so this looks like it was a trending audio, right? And maybe that also helped. So that is another tactic that you can use, is definitely look at using trending audios. But again, I wouldn't overdo it that it's the only tactic that you have to get more views. Again, we want to concentrate on the actual content that's in there, right? So in this one, I wonder if you can even, Sandy, take like this story, right, that you have in here. Again, when you share your processes, your experiences, this is what you did in here. So you could maybe even do like a talking reel or a voiceover where you take this exact caption and you talk about like giving up and starting to speak Spanish, right? That whole thought that people have when they're learning a new language. It's like, that's it, I'm done, right? So you can definitely reuse this. And again, you can reuse this in your launch week because I'm sure a lot of people are thinking and they struggle with that thought. And so sharing your story and what you do, I think this is super cute and you can use that. Okay, so that did really well. So the way I look at analytics in these numbers, just to explain like what I would do with these numbers, it's like, okay, fine, I see these numbers. What do I do? If you have a strategy that you've been following, if you've implemented that strategy for a good 90 days, that is a very good like time span and time range to let you know if something is working or not, that strategy that you put together, right? And the strategy can include different elements. The thing is, I see a lot of people, what they do is after 30 days or even 2 weeks, A lot of people just after 2 weeks, they're like, tried this new thing. I've started posting every day. And then after 2 weeks, I still don't get any leads. I still am not getting engagement. I'm still not getting any sales. I'm sorry to tell you, but 2 weeks is not enough. 2 weeks of consistency and a strategy, like implementing that, is not enough. 30 days is great to see patterns. So if I've, let's say, every week been posting a talking reel and I see that it's doing really well after 30 days, I would keep doing talking reels continuously, like for 90 days, and then see how they all do. So I can start seeing patterns, right? 30 days, look for patterns, right? If you can see anything that's like, picking up some steam, or, you're noticing engagement doing really well on carousels versus graphic posts, things like that, I would look for patterns. And then finally, after 90 days, you can set benchmarks, right? So let's say, Sandy, you go all the way back to, so I know summer has been a little bit off for you because you've been busy in family events and like outings and things. And I know you're now starting to pick up your consistency again. So the insights are not, I don't think, good enough right now. But from now until the end of the year, what I would look at on December is seeing how you did. Like if you're getting still around the average of 300 views in your reels, think about maybe trying something different in some of your B-roll reels, or maybe doing more voiceovers, something like that, right? Social media is an experimentation. It's like a science lab. You are putting things out there to see how people respond, right? And then you keep doing and implementing more of what is working, but you need to give it a good amount of time, right? And so what I would say is stick to a strategy, decide that plan of what you're doing and the types of content you're putting out there, and stick to it for about a good 90 days. And I think that's how I look at insights, is after 90 days, I decide if I want to switch my strategy. I don't switch it after 30 days, 2 weeks, anything like that. It is too soon to say, right? Just like other platforms like YouTube, Jamar, you can tell me that. I know that. So I can't just expect things to happen right away, right? So that's kind of how I would go about looking at it. I mean, in terms of the engagement, I see the comments. I don't know if that's what you're trying to go for, Sandy, like trying to get people to comment. It looks like yours are more like, go check out my podcast, learn these phrases, and they're very actionable things that people can take. So it's fine. You don't need that engagement, because I don't get a lot of engagement in terms of comments on my posts. So, but I have a lot of people in DMs and my stories. So that's another thing, is like, we don't have to focus on engagement when we think about like, I'm getting no comments, I'm getting like no likes. There are people still consuming your content, and they might be doing something with it which you can't see. So that's why I say 2 things. You don't want to stick to the surface level content all the time, because sometimes, you won't be able to see that they are implementing those things that you're doing unless they comment, unless they let you know, right? Second thing is, think about a lead magnet, or a free offer that you can give people that lets them know that they're slowly going into your world, like they're getting into your world through this little thing. Like Sandy has a podcast. So beyond this month, after her membership launch is done, I would recommend that she continuously ask people to go check out her podcast, and subscribe to her podcast and things like that, because that is her entry point into her world. I mean, Instagram too, yes, but then that's where she talks about other things, and she dives deeper into learning Spanish, right? And then her membership is what she mentions in her podcast. So again, every post doesn't have to talk about her podcast. The content itself can be something else. It doesn't have to mention podcast, but in the caption, she can say, hey, if you want to listen to episode, X of my podcast, I talk more about this, this struggle, or this strategy, and how I teach my kids, whatever it is. So that's kind of what I would recommend. based off of looking at her content. It's not that she's not getting leads or things like that. We probably just can't see it. And Sandy, maybe you can comment later on this video and let us know, that's what's going on. But that's kind of how I do it, folks. That's an Instagram audit of Sandy's account. And again, I can't dive deeper into other insights. This is all I can see right now, right? But if I were to do an audit with her, I would go into her professional dashboard and we can look at more like information. So hope that helped. I know I had a few people on this training, but Jamar is the only one here right now. And I don't want to leave you hanging. So let me unshare this and then share this. I have a free resource for you that you can use. Where is it? Okay, one second, my bad. Okay. Okay. That, if you enjoyed this training and you would like to learn more about how to just set up more systems for your social media account, I have this free training called Social Media for Conversion. It's a 5-day email series, and I just give you 5 short, sweet lessons on how you can set up these simple things to consistently connect with your ideal customers, and so that you don't have to spend on your whole time on social media. Like, I know people complain all the time. It's like, I feel like when I get into doing my social media tasks, I end up spending hours. So I don't want you to do that. So make sure you go in the description of this video and get your free training and sign up for it. It's, again, super short and sweet, but I get you started on setting up your social media for getting the right leads. Next week, I am doing a live Q&A. So I've had people submit questions about using social media for their business, and I'm going to be answering as many as I can. So if you have any questions about how to leverage Instagram for your business, drop them in the comments, in the chat, or even in the comments after I post this video, or DM me, honestly, because I'm saving all of them, and I'm going to be answering as many as I can next week. And join me live. And unfortunately, I have one more person. Who else is here? Jamara, I know you were here. I don't know who. If you're here, say I'm here in the chat. And if you want to win an audit or 50% off my membership for the first month, comment right now or forever hold your peace. Okay, I'm going to give it like 1 minute. And let's see if anybody comments. Yeah, Jamar, it was very detailed. I hope I didn't throw anybody off, but it's kind of sometimes, it's hard to look at everything and say what's going on. But that's how I would look quickly at an Instagram account and see how we can optimize it. And you already saw there were a few ways that she can change her link name and the pinned posts, things like that. But Sandy's doing a great job, and I can't wait to see what happens with her launch. So yeah. Okay. There's no one here. So I'm sorry. You've lost your chance to win an audit or 50% off. But anyways, I hope this training was helpful. If you like this video, like and subscribe, and I will see you next week. Thank you, Jamar, for being here. See you guys.